The defense making its case now in the impeachment trial of suspended Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
The defense started calling witnesses today and has called 4 witnesses so far.
KVUE's Ford Sanders is live outside the Senate chamber for us.
And Ford, all of today's witnesses have something in common.
Absolutely. Quita, each of the witnesses called today is a current employee of the Office of the Attorney General. Justin Gordon, he's the chief over the Open Records Division for the office. He was the first to take the stand. The House accused Paxton of misusing public records laws to give Nate Paul sealed law enforcement documents, and that he told his employees to refuse to give decisions in a request for DPS records. Well, Gordon testified DPS missed a key deadline to protect the release of the information, and that's why the office didn't give a decision. Gordon said there was a concern about what issuing a decision could mean for other cases.
There was already a pending lawsuit, and courts will give our letter rulings great weight, and rubber stamping the actions in this procedural context would have, or could have, I don't know what the court would have done with our ruling, but it could have tilted the scale in favor of a governmental body who had failed to comply with the procedural requirements.
Henry De La Garza also testified today. He's the Director of Human Resources for the Office of the Attorney General and advises all OAG staff on ethical issues. De La Garza broke down the office's handbook and said there were reasons to fire the whistleblowers.
There was some evidence of questionable decision making, just the breakdown in the working relationship. There may have also been, from what I recall, some insubordinate tone or demeanor towards Brent Webster. And so just overall, based on the applicable state and federal law and the facts presented to me, it seemed reasonable, and the policy supported that.
De La Garza says firing the whistleblowers had nothing to do with them going to the FBI, but was due to them violating agency policy. Now, the defense is still presenting its case. Right now, Grant Dorfman's on the stand. He's the Deputy First Assistant to AG Paxton. We'll have more coming up tonight at 6. Live from the Texas State Capitol, Ford Sanders, KVUE News.
Ford, thanks a lot. Let's continue the discussion now with KVUE's political director, Ashley Godot, here to provide some analysis. Ashley, the prosecution today really pushed back on the testimony about the firing of those 8 whistleblowers.
Yeah, you heard the sound in Ford's story with De La Garza talking about there was this justification for firing them. But prosecutor Daniel Ducto really questioned the validity of where De La Garza was getting his information. De La Garza kind of said, well, this is what was being reported to me. Well, it was all being reported to him by Brent Webster, who had been brought in by Paxton and whom the whistleblowers have testified they had very contentious relationships and conversations with. You heard David Maxwell, this well-respected law enforcement official, who said, he left him waiting in the lobby for hours. He didn't give him any notice about his firing. And so certainly interesting to hear the pushback there.
Well, Ashley, there was also some movement, or a lack of movement, on a major motion from the prosecution today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so yesterday, the prosecution, in a very interesting move, they put a motion forward that would combine conviction and disqualification for the votes for the senator. So if Ken Paxton is convicted, he is automatically removed from office. Once that happens, each side will then get 15 minutes to argue whether or not he should then be disqualified from ever running for and holding state office in Texas again, and the senators then take that vote. And so they wanted to combine those two, conviction/removal with disqualification. When we came back from lunch today, because a motion has to be laid out for 24 hours, the prosecution actually withdrew that motion. And let me tell you, I don't think that there is a single bit of political motivation to have the two of those things combined. I can see a world where a senator might vote to convict and therefore remove from office, but then want to let it be the will of the voters to decide if they want Ken Paxton to come back or not, because that is a very serious disqualification from running is the most serious, punishment a lawmaker can have, or an elected official can have. So that one was pulled out. It'll be interesting to see, of course, how the votes happen.
All right. You're going to head back to keep listening because
Yes,
they're still going.
They're still going. So join me on KVUE Plus after the newscast.
Yeah, after the newscast.
What's going on?
Political
I
director.
said after the newscast.
Thank you.
Ashley Godot. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And like Ashley just said, for complete gavel-to-gavel coverage every day, you can watch the impeachment trial live on KVUE Plus.
Look for KVUE Plus on Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, all the great ones. You can also find us on KVUE.com and on the KVUE YouTube channel, which is really easy. You can watch all the proceedings there.